Hello, chess friends. This is International Master Valeri Lilov, and today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic: how and why is it important to work on puzzles, and what you can do about it. See, there are all kinds of puzzles. Most people know about the puzzles known as tactics, and I love them. However, there are other type of training positions that can help you to really exercise your brain. Ultimately, in chess, there are three ways on how we learn. We study theory. We basically get to exercise on whatever we study, usually through training positions or master games. And then we experience. We play games, we analyze them, and so on. Now, the important thing about the second part, exercising, is that essentially in most of the times it goes through puzzles. All kinds of puzzles. Now, most chess players really, I'm talking about the ones that were not professionals, they don't have a whole lot of time. So their actual exercising is mostly limited to just doing some tactics on a website. Truth is, you want to do more. You see, the other ways of training puzzles is, second, positional problems. More and more sites are actually starting to work through this and have different type of courses and examples. But more importantly, even than that, is the idea of doing composition problems. Now, what is the difference? Tactical puzzles are about a position in which you have one goal, which is to find out the weakness or the motive, the theme, and figure out how to exploit it in an effective way, tactically. Those kind of positions do not happen often in our games. They do not occur. However, the themes that they're trying to present do often turn out to be pretty important, and they do happen, and they do occur in our games. Now, this is valuable. We always want to work on that every day. We want to do this as much as possible. So every day, at least for 15 to 30 minutes. And I often say the best way to do these puzzles is you do it on your phone. You see, you take up a position and you try to figure it out in your kill time. If you got 5 extra minutes in between, meetings or whatever, you take those up and then you try to, really figure it out. I love that. The positional problems require more time, and I suggest that you preferably don't do those on a physical board, because ultimately they're excerpts from master games. Oftentimes they're in books, even chapters, and basically the idea is that you really need to figure out the different type of concepts that are related to these. So you want to work on these as much as you can. Concepts of positional problems. Again, there's books and software that can actually help you do this, even master courses of lectures. And then finally, we have the idea of doing composition problems. Composition problems being these type of positions, either endgames, like very specific endgames, composed endgames, with a hard solution, or composed problems like you're supposed to checkmate in 3 moves or 4, and you have to figure out some really super cool move. Ultimately what these do is that although they're hard and unrealistic, they make you think out of the box. So that's why I consider them very important. Even I know grandmasters whose training is only about doing these kinds of puzzles. So, let's start with the tactics. How do we work out a tactic? We have a position here which is a middle between tactical problem and a positional one. Ultimately, the position is, white's a pawn down, but he's got some tremendous piece activity. And you can very easily understand why that matters more than anything else. So the control, the abilities, and everything, that just looks good. So, what do we do, actually, in this type of position? Very important question, very big idea. So the first thing that you need to remember about these kinds of positions, or situations, let's call them, is that they require, big thing, they do require you to analyze forcing moves. It doesn't matter if it's a check, capture, or a direct threat. The idea is you'd always like to be thinking about these types of moves, more importantly. So, what do we do? Well, the concept, this is very, very important. The concept is checks, captures, and direct threats must be considered, but first we need to be thinking about the actual weaknesses or vulnerabilities that may be out there. And this gives white a beautiful idea. Bishop takes h, g takes h, and now we realize a quite nice open king. See, so we need the motive, and we certainly need the vulnerability. Now, once we get the motive, once we've already, taken the vulnerability, what's the next thing in place? Great question. What's the next thing that we want to control or do? The next thing that you want to control or do, I always say it, is actually thinking a bit more about, okay, so we got the space and control, good command, nice possibilities, it's all there, it's all good. But we must find a way, we must find out what the main defender is. If we could say that the black king is the main target right now, that's wonderful. But that's not going to help us. Not unless we find out what is the main defender. And we actually see that the main defender right now for black happens to be, or turns out to be, his g7 bishop. If the g7 is actually removed, he'd have nothing useful. Nothing to actually help him in the long run. Very good idea. Very important idea. So we're getting the idea of, okay, being able to attack against the black king. And now what do we do next? Well, candidate moves. You see, weakness, need, and candidate forcing moves. Remember those three aspects of working out any actual puzzle. Weakness was the king. The pieces we already got. The need is that we got to open it up. So we did that. And essentially the candidate moves that are most forcing. We're looking for them. Bishop takes h was a perfect move, delivering this in the most effective way possible. You could see yourself that black is just kind of losing it actually all here. He doesn't love any of the tactical things that are taking place, and it feels even more bothersome as the game carries on, as the game continues. What is extremely valuable in these type of positions, so don't forget that, is how do you make this, the pressure, the threats, the possibilities to constantly happen. That's not going to work easily. No, it's not. But if you do it, you're a long way ahead to your opponent. So now, of course, what white finds out is another move. He needs another continuation, and he finds it. One more move to help us basically go forward. We have to throw it all in, otherwise we lost. And so, there comes bishop h6. A tempo move. Now, see, keep in mind that most people rarely lose. Remember that. Most people rarely lose because they don't see the right move. The reason why most people tend to lose these positions is because they don't think about enough candidate moves, about enough possibilities in the play. And that's why they lose. If you think about it, that's the primary reason why things just go terribly wrong. And they lose this. Because they don't get to think about it in the right way. They don't ask themselves the right questions. Now, with this move in mind of bishop to the h6, of course, everything is very different. Because we're able to go ahead, run after the black dark square bishop. And then he's got a little bit of an issue, as you could say. It's not like he's got much to do. He certainly has a problem. Most of his own pieces are just going to be a little, bad, so to speak. And we're good. We're definitely very, very good here. So that's the whole point, the whole concept. We want to start. You want to think, or actually get started with the types of moves that challenge the opponent. But the big secret is that we need candidates, not just one move, but a number of ideas that can help you out in the long run. And so now when we have that bishop to the h6, it's really different. Black can do a move like, say, knight to the c6, but then we play bishop takes to the g in this type of position. And of course, we could see that after black plays with king takes to the h7, there is the move of queen f3. It's actually interesting that in the majority of times in your games, well, all you need is a simple move. And yet when we do these type of tactical puzzles, often we end up with making a perfect, brilliant, like just breakthrough or whatever. Well, truth is, not always. I want you to be very objective so that, in a real game, you could actually get to check both the possibilities, both the forcing approach and the tactical idea, as well as the rest. See, if you only check the tactical possibilities, or if you only check that type of idea, you're not likely going to see what is necessary out there, what is really needed. So, get the ability to think precisely about all sorts of relevant possibilities, and eventually the way on how they can come out and play. That's a big deal, and you are going to be surprised how many people never think about that. So queen f3, black plays rook e5 actually at this point, just intending to, cover the h5 pawn and make sure everything's protected. But who really cares about that? The truth is, what white wants to do is going to be to build more pressure and more control. And the way to do this, of course, as always, turns out to be the possibility to get more attackers. Queen f7 check, king h8, and knight c to e3. Wow, that's amazing. Now that knight jumps into play, you see, keep in mind, in a real game, this is going to be enough. In a tactical problem, not so much. In a positional problem, that's exactly right. So you got to know sort of what kind of problem or type of a situation are you trying to solve out. In this case, it is all about, okay, let's just bring over the pieces and have them ready to advance. So it's all that white needs now. And then he's able to do it. I mean, just look at this. The knight's coming out. Most of black's own pieces have very little, almost nothing to do in this situation. And white just keeps going. I mean, that's all we need. Just keep going, keep advancing, and have black horrible. Stay badly. So, what's coming up next? Well, actually, after knight ce3, black did the move of knight at the d4. I am guessing intending to that intends to blockade and sort of solidify the position. Looks good. I mean, at least in the beginning, looks really good. So what do we do next? Just do we hit him? Do we wait? Do we just take the time? What do we do? You can do anything. Remember though, that puzzles are about one thing. Coordination. That means anything you do, anything you work with, helps you to actually coordinate your pieces. If whatever you do not help you to coordinate and connect your pieces, you're not going in the right direction. You're actually messing something up, and you're missing something as well. So now if the knight to the d4 was actually played out, what white did was the move, he's obviously in a highly advantageous position, but what he decided to do was knight f6. And again, because of that concept of coordination, we're actually able to apply this pressure quite effectively. We have the threat against the opponent's h7 now. We've got the knight that's doing the job, and we have the queen that simply continues the pressure. It's a lot of those things, and all of them look fairly strong. Bishop g6, rook b to e1. Beautiful. Just look at that. Every piece has the ability to jump now. But all we need and all we want is to simply exercise or increase more pressure. Knight e to the d5, Now, with all of his pieces mobilized, white simply enjoys an incredible attack that strengthens, that increases its power with every move. We have the knight on f6, we get the knight on the d5, we get the queen on the h4, and we have the h7. That's just, it's too difficult to handle it. It's almost impossible. I love the concept, and the whole idea, nevertheless, is that it really begins with this: coordinate, pressure, and attack. What else do you need to know about puzzles? Okay, let's go with that other puzzle that I'd really love to show you, and that's a beautiful puzzle. It is about white. I mean, would I say that it's tactical or positional? Well, it depends on how you look at it. I like to look at it as a very dynamic position in which we need to find the goal. Specifically, when we talk about tactics, you need to know that tactics are about breaking down a very important question that will help you focus your analysis and not rely on simply seeing some big tactic that will jump out of nowhere and then you win. So most people think about that. This is not the way you want to think about it. Tactics are about a specific goal. What do you want to get within this current position in this exact moment? In that case, we see that black's got incredibly set pieces positioned against our king. F takes G, bishop takes H3, all of it. You name it. He has got everything lined up there, and everything is ready. We just can't afford to let this go. So what do we fight against? Now again, we go back to the concept of weakness. We need to see what his weakness or his weaknesses are. Otherwise, you're just shooting, like straight, like shooting away, not straight, and you don't know what you're going with. You don't know what you're doing. So, very critical idea is that you know exactly what it is that you want to do. What is it that we'd like to achieve in this type of position, and what is it that we're going for? In that specific case, it is apparently about one thing, and this is making sure we attack the black. We can think about threatening against this king. We can think about different type of shots. It's a good thing. It's a really good idea. So what does white do? Queen c7. This move is simply wonderful. If black takes it, that's great. We play the move of d6, and then we win the queen back. If he doesn't, we exchange the queens, looking for a way to win without rook. You see, this is a tactical problem with a positional solution. But what I'm actually trying to emphasize here is that oftentimes, in order to find out the best solution within a similar position, you've got to ask yourself, what is at stake? What is the goal that will help you to achieve most?